As we become more connected than ever as a species through technological advancement, we also have a giant spotlight we can now point into the dark corners of society. Something that has been revealed to us is that a lot of the rich and powerful prefer to prey on the young. Not all of them, of course, but a lot more than I think we would have ever previously believed. This story is absolutely terrifying, seeing how the innocence of a child allows them to be easily swayed and led into the clutches of a stranger
with dark desires.
It's not all doom and gloom though, so stick around until the end and see how this plays out.
818 Stories.
This is 818 Stories, where seriously scary stories are told seriously. Please like the video to pay your respects
to the almighty algorithm.
This story is from a man in his 30s who would like to remain anonymous. I completely understand. Here it goes. My grandpa was known to be musically inclined. He could play anything on the piano, guitar, and the harmonica. He loved the blues. He was one for tall tales and told me he had played with Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King. I don't know if I believed him, but his musical chops were almost good enough to believe it. When I was very young, maybe 5, he gifted me a harmonica. No matter how hard I tried, I never did seem to get any better at it, but he made it look so easy when he played it. Regardless, I cherished that harmonica and held on to it for years. It really meant something to me. One day, during summer break, I had my best friend over at my parents' house. We were messing around in the backyard play fighting. We come up with wrestler names and all of that, you know. Kid stuff. I had a little brother who always wanted in on whatever we were doing. He had come out into the backyard and tried to join, but there had been a previous time where he had been kicked in the face during one of the pretend wrestling matches, and I had gotten into serious trouble from my mom. I told him he couldn't play with us, and was probably mean to him, considering I was a little punk kid. My little brother had an issue with rage though, so if I told him he couldn't do something, there might be an explosive outburst. Not today though. After telling him he couldn't play, he simply went back into the house. Cool, I thought. That was easy. I continued roughhousing with my friend. A little while goes by, and my little brother comes back out into the yard holding something in his hand. I stop playing with my friend and look at him. My brother had my harmonica in his hand. My precious harmonica. He knew I cherished it. He said, "Fine, if I can't play, you can't have this." He ran to the tallest fence that connected to our backyard and tossed the harmonica over it. I was enraged and began yelling at him. After an immature screaming match filled with all manner of curses, my buddy tells me we should just hop the fence and go get the harmonica. Here's where things start to take a turn. You see, the fence connected to our backyard was not a normal fence. This thing was really tall. It concealed any view of our neighbor's backyard. That's not necessarily creepy or anything, but our neighbor was very reclusive, so much so that he had even boarded up a lot of his back windows from the inside. It was a 2-story house, so we were able to see those top windows from the backyard. Thinking back, that's pretty damn strange, but we were just dumb kids. After failing to scale the fence, my friend suggested we leave the yard, wrap around down the street, and just walk into his backyard. I did not like this idea, but I agreed to do this as I really wanted my harmonica back. My friend and I walked around the street to the front of this house. I noticed other windows were boarded up too, mainly on the second floor. The backyard gate was just to the left of the front entrance of the house, and in plain sight, we heard strange music coming from within the home. It must have been pretty loud to have heard it so well. Okay, my friend says, let's sneak in and get it. I was nervous about this. Something didn't feel right. I told him we should ask the guy who lives there if we can go into his backyard before attempting to retrieve the harmonica, remembering that one summer when we were ding-dong ditching, a man had come outside with a shotgun yelling at us. I did not want something like that to ever happen again. I told my friend we would try the front door first, and if no one answered, we would go through the gate. We approached the door and I rang the doorbell. Nothing. I knocked. Nothing. My friend looked at me to confirm that we would now be trying the yard. I began to turn around, but then something caught my eye. I saw movement in one of the first floor windows that had not been boarded up. As soon as I had turned around with my back facing the front door, it opened. I turned around and saw an Asian man in silk pajamas standing in the doorway. Behind him, there were more candles than I had ever seen illuminating the hallway. He just stared at us blankly for a moment and didn't say anything. I then nervously asked, excuse me, sir, can we go into your backyard really quick? My brother threw a harmonica over it, and we're trying to recover it. He didn't say anything. He just stared at us. A moment goes by, and I'm getting a little worried. Before I tell him not to worry about it, he said this.
I don't have a backyard.
I was confused. I could clearly see the gate. I told him this. He just said again blankly,
I don't have a backyard.
Both me and my friend are looking at each other confused, and then he says this.
Come inside. I have a backyard, but you can only see it through here. That's not my gate.
Okay, this was really strange. That was clearly his backyard gate. I wanted my harmonica back so bad, but something felt wrong about all this. My friend spoke up. Don't worry about it. Thank you. We're leaving. The man asked if we were sure and said that we should just come inside, sit down, and explain it properly to him, and then that maybe he could help us find the harmonica. When we refused again, the man went from calm to angry in a split second.
Fine, you won't get it back. Don't come back.
He then slammed his front door. I was freaked out. My friend and I backed away into the cul-de-sac. At this point, I'm about to give up. But my friend was more daring than I was at that age. He told me to come with him quickly. He quietly moved to the man's back gate and waited for me. He waved at me to come over. I hesitated, but knew we needed to act fast to get it back. So I moved to him. Okay, my friend said. We open it, run in, grab it, and then run home. A straightforward plan. I agreed. He opened the gate quickly, and I charged through it, but then was halted immediately by what I saw. It was a horrifying sight. The backyard was more than unkempt. There were blue plastic drums everywhere in the backyard with an awful smell. There were what appeared to be rags everywhere too, and a metal shack that had rusted. The grass had grown unbelievably tall along the fence line, and there would be no way to get the harmonica without a long search. We also noticed one of the house's windows to our right could see into the yard. My friend got low to the ground, turned to me and whispered, "Let's go." We began to crawl past the window. I then noticed an arm holding a knife in the window. I then heard yelling and movement from within the house. We both froze. Around the corner of the house was a deck with a back door. That door swung open, and then the man ran outside with a knife, staring at us angrily.
Get in the house,
he yelled.
I will call your parents from there. In the house. Sit on my couch. Get in the house. Get in the house.
My friend and I were horrified at the sight of the man in silk pajamas screaming at us bearing a knife. We got up and ran out of the yard. He chased us to the gate and slammed it shut. We ran into the cul-de-sac trying to catch our breath, and then his front door swung open. He began screaming at us more to get into his house. We were just about to run home, but then my mom's red minivan sped into the cul-de-sac. She rolled down her window and yelled at us angrily to get in. I turned back to the man's house and he slams his door shut. We get into the van with my mom, and she told us that that man was a registered sex offender and asked us what the hell we were doing. We told her what had happened. Nothing ever came of it though. After that day, my mom never let us leave the house when we were playing. I didn't see him after that day at all though. The man did move out about a year later. I always wonder what would have happened if I had listened to the man and gone into the house. As an adult, I wonder what was in those blue barrels, and would we have ended up in one of those if we had listened to the man and gone into the house? That was his story. What do you, the viewer, make of this? What do you think was in those blue barrels? It's good that he and his friend got away safely. There's no telling how that could have gone. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any stories you would like told on this channel, please email them to 818stories@gmail.com. That's 818stories@gmail.com. Stay safe out there and be wary of strangers.
You never know their true intentions.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.